Here's your full guide to the brand new Lost Jungles update inside of Roblox Fisch. So this update introduced the brand new Lost Jungle Island, and there are a few things to do here, including the brand new spear fishing. So you can see I actually have a flimsy spear here, and also on the new island you can see there's a spear crafting area where you can craft the poison tip spear and the barbed spear. So for the materials for these, it's going to be barbed spearheads and a shrouded driftwood, as well as a driftwood poisoned and then the poison spearhead, which you get these spearheads in the temple area, which we're going to go into in a second, because there is 5 puzzles there, so you're going to need to know how to do those. And then in terms of getting the mutation on the driftwood, I'm not 100% sure. I was told though that you just get it randomly from fishing on this island, so it's going to be pretty rare to get. If there's any like changes to that information though, I'll leave it in the pinned comments, so check down there. Yeah, here's what spearfishing looks like. Just go to shallow water and click where you see a fish swimming around, and then you just spam click rapidly for the actual mini game. So it's pretty easy to do, and I'm sure this is probably not going to be utilized much, to be honest. So now to get to the temple, if you go to the right side of the island, you can see this like green smoke coming out of the ground. You'll see a big hole where you can jump into with using the rope. Whenever you get down here, before doing anything, make sure you talk to the jungle adventurer. It's going to give you the temple eye, which is going to teleport you back to this place in case you die, so make sure you do get this. So now getting into the puzzles, there's going to be 5 located down here, each being a completely different puzzle. They do have numbers coordinated to them, so I'm going to go in that order for simplicity. So the first one is going to be this like Squid Game glass bridge type mini game, which essentially you just have to guess the shape that you have to jump on and then make it to the end. So you can see here is the order that it was for me. I'm not entirely sure if this order is ever going to change. If it doesn't, however, here's the order of it, so you can just try that out. If it doesn't work, then you're just gonna have to trial and error it, unfortunately. But once you make it to the end and walk near this end area, you're going to be given the poisoned spearhead along with the glyph rune, which that's what we're after, is 5 runes. Moving on to the second puzzle, you're going to see this area where it's just filled with water, and then the end is right in front of you. However, you do need to follow a hidden maze, which is going to be hidden on the roof. So you kind of just have to align your character with the pathway on the roof and walk towards the end. Just make sure you're pretty careful with this. After you complete this, you will be given the murky thread and the water rune. So that makes 2 of 5 runes. Next up, we have this like water obby. It's pretty easy. This is actually probably one of the easiest ones. So you just interact with the door and it will let you inside, and then you have a limited amount of time to just complete this obby because the water will be rising below you. And then once you make it to the top, it's not too long, you will be given the toxic rune and the toxic core. Moving on to the 4th puzzle, this one is a little confusing because it's actually like bugged right now. What you have to do is go towards the back right of the room and you'll see this tree, and kind of just climb up it and jump towards the middle area, and you just land on an invisible platform, and then you just walk over and pick up the rune once you get near it. It was very bugged. I'm not sure if they're going to change this at all. You're originally supposed to like interact with vines and pull a specific vine down. But yeah, it was bugged, so I couldn't get footage of how you're supposed to do it. But you will be given the vine line and the vine rune from that. And for the 5th and final puzzle, this is going to be also a pretty easy one. It's just a maze, but there are spikes on the walls. You have to make sure you're staying centered and just don't touch the spikes. The best tip for completing a maze is to just hug the left side of the wall. Not literally, because there's spikes on it, but just keep walking around hugging the left side of the wall, and eventually it will lead you to the exit of the maze, which you will get the barbed spearhead and the spiked rune from that. So after you have all 5 runes, you're going to head to the end area. If you want to do that easily, just use the temple eye you were given, and it will teleport you directly there, and you're going to insert all of your runes in the dedicated pedestals, and then the door will open up for you. Once you enter this area, it's just going to be a pool of water that you cannot fish in currently, but there is a new type of boss fish that spawns in that area, which you're able to fish up once it spawns in, which you can just use sundials like typical. There is no new rod or anything else in this area, surprisingly, so that's interesting. However, if you go over to the ancient archives, there are 3 brand new craftable rods in here. So we have the vine weaver rod. Here are the stats on that, and then if you hover over the different materials to craft it, you can see that some of the materials you get from completing the temple, and then some of the other materials are like driftwood that is going to require specific mutation, which once again is going to be obtainable on the island to my knowledge. Then the next rod is the toxic spire rod. Here's a look at the stats and passive on that, and then once again here are the different crafting materials when you hover over them as well. And then for the last rod, it's the elder moss ripper, which that's going to be the new boss that spawns in the last temple area, and you do need the boss itself for that, as well as 2 other materials. There is also 1 brand new admin rod, which is now obtainable. A lot of people were looking forward to it. It is called the wind elemental rod. You get this by going to the top of Northern Expedition. There will be a new area you can climb, and then you talk to the NPC standing up here, and he's going to give you a quest to find a shiny giant bait crate, specifically one that is above 12.8 kg. Here are the stats on that rod. So it has very high lure speed, luck, high control, 55% resilience. Yeah, this was an admin rod previously, so it is now obtainable. Also, a quick little honorable mention this update, they introduced a new black market event, which during admin events they spawn in. Here's a look at that. There's a couple of rods in here that you can buy, as well as some different gear, like this motorcycle that I actually ended up buying for 100 million, by the way. But yeah, the best rod in there is going to be $3 billion, and that is extremely expensive, so I can't afford it personally. However, from the little bit of gameplay I saw Carbon use it, it has a very small control bar. It doesn't look too good. I'm assuming they're just trying to get people's money down, because they also did nerf the aquarium. The aquarium got cut a lot. They basically reduced the size multiplier. Before I was getting around 5 million online profit, now I'm getting 1.6, so you can kind of do the math on that. Anyways, that is basically it for this update. It was a huge update, a ton of puzzles to do, so hopefully I've helped you out. If I did, make sure to drop a sub with notifications on. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.